Marfoogle TV live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Let's get into it. Of course, the storm is hitting the East Coast. We have a huge round of cold weather mixed with warm air that is going to end up creating a huge disaster for ice. Of course, a lot of folks are now cleaning out the shelves. They say more than 200 million people, over 2/3 of our country, are now in the path of a massive ice and snowstorm that will blanket much of the U.S. this weekend. The National Weather Service says the dangerous system will bring heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain from the southern Rockies into New England through Monday. Frigid temperatures will persist into next week, hampering recovery efforts. Widespread travel disruptions, prolonged power outages, and vast tree damage is likely. So people prepare, get warm, get safe. Again, this is something that, you know, we didn't have the most time to warn you about because it kind of came on suddenly. As far as everybody in our community, we're hoping that all of you are trying to help your friends and family and just make sure that, you know, nobody gets hit by this storm in the ultimate way, which is, again, we don't want anybody to perish from something like this. But this is going to be one of those things where once you lose power, that's where things really get dicey. We're going to talk about this, much more. Mysterious hum heard in our country. We're going to talk about what we think that is. We're going to talk about where our Armada is headed. We've tried to gather, in fact, information about where most of the public information is saying that our ships are, because this is a big deal. We are now heading into World War III, in my opinion. And I guess we did kind of the first shot over the bow. We'll talk about all of that in just a second, so make sure to stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Before we go any farther, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, Wings and Wags Patriot, thank you for the early support, but again, I think you're the one who needs support right now. Says, please pray for me. I'm going to lose at least one toe from frostbite. Be careful out there, people. Love y'all. Frostbite is no joke. Gosh, the first thing I thought about is that the episode of 1923 where the wife has her hands and legs, and in that, I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, that would be a total spoiler, but if you've seen that show, you know exactly what scene I was thinking about. But one of my family members ended up losing all but 2 toes on each feet, and here's the good thing: if you're losing 1 toe, maybe even 2, you know, people worry like, will I have balance, or you end up adapting. And I think, you know, feet is one thing like where, it's horrible to lose any kind of, digit. But again, a toe is better than a finger. So I'm praying for you, Wings and Wags. That's, it's not fun, but again, I would be positive about it because you'll adapt quickly and you'll figure out how to do it, even if it was your big toe. That is very, very unfortunate to hear. I'm praying that you don't lose any. Again, But yeah, the frostbite is really, really bad. Make sure to have gloves and socks and everything else. I mean, I saw, one of my cousins end up going out in freezing temperatures years and years ago in sandals. And I was thinking, dude, you are just crazy. Frostbite can come along and you don't even know it's happening at first. So again, be careful out there. Great warning from Wings and Wags. And I'm hoping that they go mysterious, magically, that you don't have to lose anything. War Donkey says, I'm always ready even if I don't have everything I want. That's how I feel too. It's like, there's no way. I don't think any of us here, I don't think there's any secret billionaires watching, Elon. But if they were, it's like, preparing is expensive. And I don't think any of us are prepared as we want to be. But, we can try to get as close as we can. All right, and then Dex, let's get into the other news. We've got, of course, a lot of amendments. We've got a lot of things passing. You've got a lot of things going on in the Congress. House GOP slammed by conservatives for joining Dems on the controversial kill switch amendment. You want to talk about that and what that is?
Yeah, so if you guys remember back in the prior administration, the Biden administration, they put in a rule that they were going to create a kill switch in all new automobiles. And that's actually in law. That's there. They're going to put it in. And it also had to, the Department, the National Transportation Safety Board or whatever, had to define what it would, how it would work and come up with a standard, and all vehicles would have to have this. And it was also supposed to be able to identify if you were intoxicated and prevent you from being able to use your car. So that's the law.
We called this years ago.
Yeah. So, and that's there. So it's coming. Well, one of the Congress people had put in a bill to get rid of it, to basically roll back the requirement on this quote unquote kill switch. Well, apparently they all voted. Of course, one side voted for it, which was the side that obviously voted to not kill it. It's like a double negative, not take out the thing and leave it in place, because they're the ones, it was their party that put it in there. But a handful enough of the other side also voted to keep it in there for whatever reason. So guess what? We almost had it removed, and it's still there. And it's going to continue to live, and eventually we're going to have cars that will not operate. If the government wants to shut it down on you, they can.
And this is where you need to understand this. We warned this about years ago, and the reason why we tell you this isn't an I told you so. This was like, we told people to be out loud about this, to write their Congress about this, because everyone is so busy. The only thing that people are writing their Congress about are writing like, yeah, I hate that guy too. Okay, most people's social media, all of the politicians' social media every appearance is based on them trashing the other side. Well, nobody's talking about stuff like this, which we warned you guys back in 2021. We said by 2025 to 2027, this would be put in. And it did get put in. And now there was a chance where everybody could have been out loud about this. We told you about that as well. Here's the reason why. Nobody agrees with drunk drivers. Everybody, why would you want to stop this? This stops drunk drivers from driving. Well, because we understand that the government doesn't always use the systems meant for good. And here's the thing. If they, take this, right? Ring doorbell cameras, they're great. And then, of course, now people are mad that they're hooking them up to ICE, systems. So now ICE can actually see the doorbell cameras, or that their facial recognition, their Flock AI, can now spot people from your house. So those cameras that are on your house now could be a part of the net catching people, right? Again, this is something where you've got this like mixed feelings about. They're like, well, I do support this, but I don't support that. Well, in this case, somebody, if you're wrongfully accused and they shut down your vehicle, or say if you are speaking up against the government, and in the future, in the next administration or this one, they decide that they don't like you, well, then they can say you're drunk, turn off your car, pull you over, and catch you. This is something that people should have been out loud about. And it's not even about the what ifs of the situations. Like, what if you're falsely accused of murder and you can't get away? No, It's the fact that they could shut off everybody's car. What if they locked us down and said nobody can move and they turned off every single car? Well, that's going to be possible in the future. The same system that can shut off your car for an impaired driver can also be remotely shut off from the government. All of these cars are connected, every last one of them. And I don't know why people don't realize this. And if you think that the government's known for, always having boundaries and having good concrete, principles about using these very powerful systems for good, well, I would say you are not a very good history major. So, as far as this goes, I hope that they can go again and do this, but this is required to be put into everything. In a dream world, it would be like a system that looks at your eyes or a camera or this or that. I mean, they could do a lot of stuff. The first idea is we're putting a camera in that would watch how many times you blink. If you blink so many times, it will say you're impaired or tired. You could be tired, and this system will work. This isn't like a blow and go. This is a system that we don't know exactly how these end up working. It might even be AI looking at your habits. Go ahead.
Hey, speaking of the cameras, take a look at I just put a link in up next for you. This was in one of our local communities, a nearby town of mine, and this was posted. I believe looks like a Facebook post given to me by a friend. But check that out and read the details of that. What they're asking the community.
Okay, so it says help keep your community safe. Participate in our flock safety program. Oh, funny usage of that. Okay, can I just say, flock AI? Like they're putting it in our face. They're like, you're a bunch of sheep. We're tending to our flock, right? But they're literally telling us, like, you guys are the sheep. And we have to monitor and corral you and herd you. I'm sorry, it is absolutely crazy. They named the AI, the facial recognition flock AI. I mean, it's stupid. And it goes, your participation will greatly enhance emergency preparedness. Your local enforcement agency is launching a new public safety program that provides you with the opportunity to participate. How do I integrate my camera so people are volunteering? Camera integrations depend on the type of camera. Scan QR code below and submit a request to integrate your cameras, and a flock safety representative will reach out to you to discuss further. Dex, that's horrible. This is terrifying.
Look, it says you can connect your cameras, or it says you can get a camera. If you're a business or a resident, you can purchase a camera that directly integrates with your local law enforcement and first responders, and will even handle the installation. Of course they will. They'll put that camera right where they want it on your property.
And my business doesn't have cameras. What else can I do to support the program? They'll even help you put in cameras in your business. Like, oh, hey, I can get some free cameras out of this. But it's going to be monitoring every one of your customers. Think about this. If your customers, if somebody got out there and got really loud about this and said, hey, if you get these cameras, certain customers shouldn't be using your business. Because think about that. What if you do? And here's the frank thing. If you owned a mini mart or something, you're going to have people, probably a good percentage of them, that have warrants or that aren't perfect or that have things going. Why would they want to go into your establishment knowing if I go into these businesses with those cameras, in 5 minutes, the police are going to be there? As a business perspective, like, God, that would be kind of a stupid thing, especially if everybody started really talking about this and realizing what this is. I mean, it's just stupid.
If you run a convenience store or a package store, do you want to be known for having flock cameras so criminals don't come in your store and only non-criminals come in? Or do you make the majority of your money?
Do you think a mini mart wants to turn away 30% of the people that live in their neighborhood?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm envisioning a new marketing campaign. Flock free zone. Like, we don't do flock, shop with us, Flock can, yeah. Get the flock out of here, right?
Flock yeah. No. Shut the front door, okay? Because it has a flock camera on it. What the flock? I mean, really? Okay, sorry. All right, let's go. And we've got, of course, Trump says the U.S. Armada is heading to the Middle East as Iran death toll is put above 5,000. It's kind of crazy because we heard 16,000 to 20,000, but now we're getting a more accurate number, they say, and 5,000 have been put down over it there. At least that's what they're saying. And the U.S. president says, we have a lot of ships going in that direction. And actually, the direct quote, it says the Armada is heading towards the Middle East and that the U.S. is monitoring Iran closely. Let me see if I can find the actual... the U.S. president said help on its way. That's previous. And he says, hopefully we don't need to use it. Where's the actual quote? Gosh, it must be real.
Second paragraph.
Okay. It was
speaking on Air Force One.
Okay. Even farther down. Oh, speaking on Air Force One, as he returned to the World Economic Forum in Davos overnight, he said, we have a lot of ships going in that direction. Just in case, I'd rather not see anything happen. But we're watching them very closely. We have an armada heading in that direction, and maybe we won't have to use it. So, maybe we won't have to use it. Maybe. Just maybe we won't have to use it. That sounds like his language is that we're going to use it. And it would take them, doing something publicly like, oh, please don't, for us not to use it. My guess is from the language and how they're reporting this and how over the last week they've talked about help is on its way, this and that. My prediction is in the next week we're going to see some sort of strike on Iran, or when it gets there, from a week from when it gets there, we'll see some sort of massive op in Iran. And who knows, we could see what happened to Maduro happen in Iran. We're doing regime changes in Venezuela, Cuba right now with the oil import embargo, and then with Iran. We're doing 3 countries right now. After in the last 2 years, they, of course, did Syria, which I think had the U.S. that was involved in that too. So, yeah, like this is something big is going down right now.
And whatever tech we used, whatever new technology we used, that hadn't been seen in the world, whether it be, the energy weapon that they're describing against humans, or more specifically, I think the more important one is whatever we used that literally flipped the switches off on all of the defense systems that were made by Russia and made by China, so that we could just roll right in and nobody knew we were there, right? That is, you got to be scary for Iran, because it's like that's what they have, that's what they bought, and that's who supports them. So America can just turn that off like it's a light switch, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we just demonstrated that very boldly in Venezuela. And if they pull it off a second time in Iran, if you're Russia and China, you're gonna have to go back to the drawing board real quick to figure out new, defensive systems, if we have the ability to do that.
So I want, which ship is this, Dex? Do we know the name of this?
It's the Lincoln, I believe.
Was the Lincoln down in Venezuela when that happened?
No, that one was in. I think the Lincoln came from the South China Sea.
I just wonder if they have something on this ship, because we know that there's several things that have been put on these ships in the last couple of years that we covered. There's obviously lasers that some of them it's unclassified that they're lasers, but they don't know much else. But I just wonder if there's systems on these boats that would be the thing that turned off their defensive systems. Like if we need one of these carriers with a new tech on it to actually be there to do that, I don't know. Or was that something that people had on the ground in Venezuela pre-placed, and then that stopped the radar? Like how did they actually stop the radar from working?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know if it was a cyber type thing or if it was an electronic jamming type thing, but I think they said only one missile ever launched, one defensive missile ever launched, and it fell. It immediately went right back to the ground where it came from, like after launch. It didn't go anywhere else.
That's crazy in itself.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the description they gave us. They don't tell us all the details, obviously, but yeah, I mean, and then the crazy story about the brain waves making people sick and fall into the ground. That one's kind of kooky to say the least when you think about how something like that could be done, commando style with a bunch of elites going in using some sort of handheld device, or is there some sort of directional drone systems that's doing that? Because we've seen that in the past, but they're on these big massive trucks with huge power banks on them to do crowd control. Never in a, stealth operation like that.
Well, maybe those guys weren't guys at all. They said they were technologically advanced soldiers we've never seen before. What if the robot itself was the system, right? It was a bipedal freaking death robot. It was a Terminator. We just sent in Terminators into Venezuela, right? And then just wanted to thank Wings and Wax Patriot. You're a top fan today. Jammer, number 2. SDS, number 3. 3rd Timothy. Rubicon, thank you for being number 5. Becky Benton. Angela Perfelli. Milk's great again. And then, of course, 4th Horseman and Mark Hill. Thank you for being in the top 10 top fans tonight. I appreciate that. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. This is exactly the system that we recommend to stop any kind of EMP blast affecting your vehicles, your trucks, your motorcycles, your generators, gas, or solar in the case of the energy. Again, you can get one directly made for that that's plug and play. But this is easy to put in your car, less than 10 minutes, and you'll be protected against both an EMP blast that would turn your car into a brick or a Carrington level event from the sun. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You can only get it from EMP Shield. You won't find this in the store. This is the same company and tech that is being used by DHS, DOW, FBI, Air Force, and many, many more that they can't talk about yet. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. All right. And then we have a slew of international airlines canceling flights to the Middle East destinations, including Israel, amid Iran tensions. So this is a big sign that something may very well be coming. And this is, again, part of why I predict that we are about to see some big, big action go down in Iran. Dex, do you want to talk about what's going on here and how many flights have been canceled and such?
Yeah, so just think about it. For starters, several major airlines, including Lufthansa, Air France, KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, and Swiss, have canceled their Saturday flights to the Middle East destinations, including Israel, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia, according to flight information published on the airport websites. So if you think about this, when we went into Venezuela, for at least 2 weeks before, a lot of people stopped flying. They're like, hey, don't fly anywhere near there. And we even had a lot of close encounters from the islands that were nearby where they would almost run into a refueling jet, things like that. So there's that early sign you get from the airlines themselves where they go, we know it's going to be too dangerous to be over here because something's about to happen. And they, for insurance purposes, obviously, and the life and safety of their passengers, say, we're just not even going to fly there. Then what we're going to see is the no-fly zone happen. When that happens, especially if that typically happens immediately when an invasion starts, if it's done by the side that's doing it. So those are the two signs. But this is the early warning. Like you said, Adam, this is the one that tells us, hey, they're on the brink because the commercial airliners are the ones pulling out.
If that same system that the one missile that did launch, and by the time it got to the air fell back down, I can imagine that a commercial jet is also going to be falling down. So they're being told, they're getting the warning. And the one thing too is they're also going to wait. They might wait a week or two because with Venezuela, they didn't want them to know the timing. If you did this and then the very next day you strike, they would be prepared. In the case of Venezuela, they waited a while just to keep, we saw all these videos. They're preparing for the planes and jets to come, but they didn't expect the timing. They didn't, they let them sit. And every day they thought it was, going to be this invasion. And they let it sit so long that they thought, oh, maybe they're bluffing. In this case, they might have to do something different because that's the playbook that they did with Venezuela. So it could be where they shut it down and then the very next day it happens. Just from a simple, basic strategy, it's if they wait weeks again, then that's kind of what Iran would expect. But can they stop it? That's the thing. The systems that were used on Venezuela, was there any stopping it? Did they use Venezuela? Did Russia, China, were any of them there to see what the U.S. did? Is there time to make a defensive system to stop whatever they did? Can they strategize? Can they watch a video of the game and go, hey, here's what went wrong? And I bet you That's why we're doing this back to back, is because they don't want them to get any sort of system up that would be able to stop whatever awesome tech that we just used. I bet they don't want to give them time to defend against it. Dex, mysterious Dorito-shaped aircraft spotting flying at night over Area 51. Something interesting here.
Yeah, so we've covered these Dorito-shaped aircrafts before, and I think everybody's seen them. But there's a particular off-grid videographer named Anders Ottesen, who has been written up here in the New York Post. He's a YouTuber who sits out in the desert and records strange unidentified aircraft. But he captured this mysterious Dorito-shaped aircraft spotted soaring high above the Area 51 area in southern Nevada. Of course, if you want to go see that, you can go to his channel and click it's in the article. Just go on our website, it'll take you right in there. But what do you think? I mean, it's obviously a shape very similar to other stealth aircraft we've rolled out in the past, like the B-2 and others. So maybe this is just a newer version of our stealth aircraft, or is this maybe the alien tech that they've been telling us about that has started to make its way into production in the military industrial complex? And of course, that kind of tech would be something that would be tested and probably hidden out in Area 51. So of course, nobody really knows. It's all a secret, but interesting to say the least that it's been spotted yet again and captured in detail by this one particular photographer.
Is it nacho cheese or Cool Ranch? That's what I want to know. Is it a party in my mouth and everyone is invited? That's what I want to know. And then mysterious hum rattles American city as residents report sleepless nights because they're hearing this noise. Most of you know my opinion on this, as far as the hums and the weird, trumpets in the sky. I think the trumpets are a little bit different. The trumpets, I almost think, could be something, a system being used that starts with an A and ends with an AARP. And we're not talking about retirement here. But the hum, I think, also could be underground digging. I think that, companies like the Boring Company that are working with many cities could be digging huge tunnels underneath. It says a persistent low-frequency hum has invaded the city of West Haven, Connecticut, according to many residents, leaving some shaken by an occurrence they're calling everything from mysterious to excruciating. For some time, as residents of the city on the coast of Long Island Sound say they believe the source of the hum to be a local industry. But they're demanding a resolution after circulating a petition and obtaining over 140 signatures. A group convinced the city council to spend $16,000 to hire a third-party acoustic firm. It says, for years, our community has been plagued by a constant or intermittent humming noise, low-frequency vibrations affecting multiple areas of town. They say many residents have reported increased levels of stress, anxiety, and physical discomfort due to this incessant noise and vibration. There have been numerous complaints made about over time. It adds, yet the source of this noise remains unresolved. So we've heard about this all over the country. We've heard about the hums. We've heard about vibrating, shaking that's not covered by USGS. We've heard of vibrations and this same kind of thing. Some folks think that it might be like, brain to skull technology or something like that. I don't know. I don't live there. I haven't felt this yet. I say yet like I'm going to go next week and be like, oh, that is excruciating. But as far as the system goes, whatever's happening here, what do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, there have been people that go on the record about this kind of sound. This has happened over the last 10 years to many cities, and it does eventually go away.
Yeah, I've had family members in Florida tell me that there's a strange loud roar coming, over the horizon there, and they don't know what's causing it. And they've even gone so far as to fly a drone all the way over to the woods or the Everglade area just to see if they can find anything. Like, is there a construction crew paving or something? Like, what's going on? They can't find a thing, but there's this hum coming from the area. So look, the acoustic firm they hired.
Was it by mountains?
No, it's Florida. It's down south, like flatlands. By
Makes you wonder.
But the acoustic firm they hired is going to use 10 microphones to continuously listen to the hum over the course of 7 days. So what are they getting paid again? $16,000 for 10 microphones in 7 days?
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, Not bad.
And then experts warn that there is something wrong with the moon rocket NASA is about to launch with astronauts aboard. My head when I read this, how many of you read this and were like, of course, right? I thought of all the people that say we're never going to go to the moon, that they're all full of crap. When I see this, I'm like, there's another, verification of their view. I mean, really, it is kind of funny how every single time that there's anything going to the moon or this or that, it's like something that goes wrong or it gets delayed or, oh, we're going to do this. They said by 2026 that we were going to head to the moon at one point. And then they quickly changed it and delayed it and said, oh, we'll do this later. And it just keeps getting pushed back. But now they're saying that the Artemis 2, the first crewed journey to the moon in over half a century. They got that right. The first crewed journey to the moon. And let's just delete that other part. The space launch rocket has already rolled out the launch pad. It says, well, the crew won't be attempting to land on the lunar surface this time around, which I'm sure that's really complicated. And, but again, we don't have the same technology and the same skill, the same knowledge that we had back, 50 years ago. I mean, everybody knows that. Yeah, and our computers are worse than they were back then. That milestone is reserved for Artemis 3. It's an extremely ambitious and highly complex mission. They're still trying to figure out. I don't know. I used to question, wonder. In my opinion, I don't think we ever went, man. How do people think we went back then if now we just can't do it? Unless there's a secret base up there and publicly they're saying that they're going, but they've been up there for 50 years or something like that. I mean, this is just, it's crazy that they have all these issues going when supposedly we went with ease with a birthday card computer and landed on it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, they're concerned about the actual ship, not the rocket. It's the Artemis or the Orion capsule, as they call it. So in 2022, they launched the Orion capsule with nobody on it, and it, as a test. And as it re-entered, its heat shield capabilities were the problem. So they said that it had major damage after making its return in 2022. It cracked and chipped as a result of the extreme conditions during re-entry. So I guess some of the folks working on this are still concerned that they haven't actually solved that problem, and that when this one goes up with humans in it and it comes back in to Earth's atmosphere, could it suffer a catastrophic fate from that poorly designed or not functioning to its optimum settings there, the heat shield? So we'll see. I don't know. That's the debate going on.
Yep. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply. It's freeze-dried food at a discount. And you're talking about you can get a 72-hour kit for your go bag, or you can go all the way up to a 3-month kit, which I highly recommend because you actually get giant discounts on bulk freeze-dried food from marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, a very, 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 very huge selection of different prep items as well. So make sure to go to that website and check out everything they have, like Alexa Pure water purification system. You definitely want to have a way to be able to purify water. Water and food are the top two things before you do anything else. marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, that will get you a discount. It's automatically applied with that link. And then China massed fishing fleets in East China Sea in apparent Taiwan blockade test. So I don't know if this is exactly a blockade or if there's another strategy that's also being tested here. So from the Jerusalem Post, they said that China massed fishing fleets in East China Sea stretching 200 miles. They had 1,400 Chinese fishing vessels, 1,400 gathered in a tightly organized rectangular formation, stretching 200 miles. So they said that this basically could block ships. It could cluster. They could cluster so compact that nearby cargo ships altered courses around them, that it would make it harder for ships to get through. Remember, a lot of these fishing vessels, they look like fishing vessels from satellite, but they are actually equipped with 50 cals and other weapons. I don't know if the ones in this particular practice have those, but they talk about this shadow fishing army or fishing fleet or whatever they call it. But they say that they had, years ago, they had 12,000 of these, which again look from satellite like they are trawlers, when in reality, if you look up close, if you were in person, they have weapons equipped to them. So here was a thought that Dex and I came up with earlier, is that this could also be used as scouting. You could have 200 miles ahead of you. You could have fishing boats in front of you. You could also spread these boats out and explore vast swaths of the ocean and find, say, stealth ships. Dex, and you know, that was, I believe you said that first, like they could have 200 miles ahead of them. They could have this spread out even more and really scout out in front of them and go in almost every direction.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you could do with a large number of vessels. If you had a couple thousand vessels and you configure them in a certain shape, you could almost blockade and prevent passage if you or safe passage, so that no large ship would want to go through. Right? It's too close. Or as we said, you could spread them out, and then they could be able to spot things that may be happening that might not have been able to be detected, because you just have economies of scale here. Like it's sort of like that whole idea. It's like you could have a really great technological weapon, but what does it matter if a billion people come across at that weapon at once and just flood it? Well, what happens when you flood an operation with a whole bunch of ships? And not only that, they're not warships, they're civilians. So they probably, people are going to be reluctant, or militaries are going to be reluctant to fire upon them.
Says the vessels are forming a blockade. That's good. Well, so if you look at this map here, if you have 12,000, 14,000, some say that they're up to like 26,000 now. A huge number of these big fishing vessels. They're not small. And you made kind of these staggered lines. You could set them far out if you were expecting the U.S. to come any route. Obviously, there's, I'm sure, a few routes that everybody goes in. I highly doubt. I would think that for safety reasons, they go along routes that are expected. They could spread these out and really scout any of the entrances, kind of like putting two guys at the back door, two guys at the front, two guys at the side to watch if anybody comes in, right? Well, same thing, only on a massive, massive scale. They could also, of course, cause... the one thing I would think is, if they did blockade something, that these big cargo ships could run right through these fishing vessels, I guess, maybe they would be afraid of damaging it. But gosh, you take one big boat, maybe even an ice trawler, and go through these little boats, you could definitely injure the crew of these things. But when you blockade an island like Taiwan, I mean, that's declaring war. I would think that they would take those ice boats and just like ram right through them or something and open up a shipping lane. But right. Then again, boats could just replace it. Like if you're digging out sand and the sand just falls in the hole that you just dug out. Go ahead.
Yeah, they have a lot of ships when you think about it. Like the number, I just looked it up. China has the world's largest fishing fleet, with estimates varying widely, but suggest hundreds of thousands of vessels, including 60 to 80,000 industrial vessels. And its distant water fleet is over 17,000. So that means 17,000 that can go out long range across the globe, so to speak, making up a huge portion of the global fishing activity. But figures range from 695,000 total boats to over 17,000 in the distance water fishing fleet. So that's a lot of ships that can be turned into.
And that's the CCP runs those? Yeah, like those? That's not private.
China. It's the fishing industry of China. So as we know, they commandeer or can control all of that. So whether it's, you want to call it, I'm sure somebody will say it's private, nothing to see here. It's not true. China can take it over at any time and does. And as we witness right now, 2,000 ships that are not military, they're just fishing fleets being told what to do. Make a formation.
Well, and they do have that fleet that basically they basically have them look like fishing ships, but they can commandeer just like eminent domain or where they can commandeer your vehicle in your house is the U.S. government's under a war act or whatever. China especially could say, hey, we're taking your house, get out. We're living here now. This is ours. And that's possible. I mean, that's possible in any country, really. But yeah, this is something where you really wonder what the heck is going on. All right, and then it is Friday night. We're going to be doing a shout trove. Thank you so much, Wings and Wags Patriot. Thank you so much for everybody that supported today's show. Thank you, Dex, for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Again, I do want to go over one more story here. That, of course, the Cuban oil imports. You can also go over to Marfoogle News, and you can go check that out. We just did a video on it. Of course, they're weighing the naval blockade to halt Cuban oil imports. This all ties into the bigger picture. So really pay attention to what's happening right now. Of course, you have that entire thing there. So make sure to go over and check out our video over on Marfoogle News. And, of course, make sure to go check out Jace as well. You can get a kit with all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics at marfooglenews.com/Jace. Thank your mods. They are over at marfooglenews.com/friends. You can actually just go to our website, marfooglenews.com. You can get a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we showed you here today. Highly recommending watching the 2 videos from yesterday, too. If you weren't caught up on that, then make sure to go back to those shows as well. Right now, we are in the thick of it, so please prepare. Please have a plan with your family just in case something happens, and please hunker down for this storm. I hope that everybody is okay through it. On the West Coast, I would highly recommend that you are aware of the 2 6.0 earthquakes that happened off of the coast of Oregon. This is over the last month. We've had some weird activity out there. Cascadia subduction zone is something you need to know about. Again, thank everybody. Thank you, Donna Honey. Thank you, Jammer. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, everyone. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. You. We'll see you over on the shoutro. You